What is going on, people of YouTube? My name is Kurtyoy. Welcome back to an unexpected second podcast of the week. There won't be two every week because we just do what we usually do and start waffling, talk about loads of stuff.
We didn't go off topic though.
Yeah, the worrying thing is that we spent loads of time talking about something I didn't think I'd spend loads of time on. But alas, we are here. Welcome back to part 2. I'm joined by Joe again. Say hello.
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 Yeah,
And if
you won't understand that, but when we were on holiday, you know what the looky guys?
yes.
They go, hey, looky. Yeah, one of them came around, and whenever he saw us, he got up to us and go, hello. When he was like, bye. Before he left, I think he had something wrong with him. Anyway, let's get on.
We don't go off tangent, is what we said. Is what we said a few seconds ago, and then you started talking about holidays. What are you doing?
I just got back from one.
Good shout. But anyways, welcome back. If you want to hear us talk about transfers, that's yesterday's podcast. Today's podcast is talking about everything to do with Premier League Game Week 1, but starting off with a little bit of a tangent, like we did last episode, about pre-season stuff. Paul Pogba is reportedly ready to break Manchester United are reportedly ready to break the transfer record for about 100 million for Paul Pogba. Big question though, is money ruining football, or has money already ruined football?
Well, money certainly already ruined football, but it's also improved football at the same time. Yes, money means that, you know, you can sign the big players and everything, but however, it does mean that you can improve facilities and all that. You know, it goes into a lot of things other than just players. It goes into their wages too. But money does ruin football, but it's a constant argument that you're never going to win. Yeah. Because, you know, if people got money, for example, TV rights and everything, everyone watches football. I say everyone, you know, football fans watch football. People are going to pay for football. People are going to pay specifically to have football in their packages on their TV deals, which means the people that get the more games are going to get more people, more channels and their packages, which means more money. More money goes into the packages, the more games they can get, and so on, so forth. Which is why football is only getting more expensive because we're making it more expensive.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I'm sort of I'll sit on both sides. It's a weird fact is that I believe I saw in the first week or first 2 weeks, Zlatan's shirt sales totaled up to £76 million. So they've almost gained Pogba's fee in Zlatan.
Yeah,
Zlatan's
and then you think
the
of
world.
it as soon as they sign Pogba as well.
Yeah,
like,
it's going to go through the
shirt
roof.
sales. Like,
yeah, just the cheap price of about 120 quid per shirt. Football, ladies and gentlemen, football. The plus side, it's still cheaper than an Arsenal ticket, and you're going to watch them pass the ball around for 90 minutes. Anyway, tangent's pretty much over. Let's talk about the Premier League, because we talked about transfers last time. Let's talk about Premier League, and we can't really talk about fixtures or ones to watch without talking about our Premier League predictions. Now, have you got a 1 to 20, or have you just done...
Yep, no, I have.
predictions?
I need to get my iPad quickly. Right, so
okay.
what do you want to hear? You want to hear my 1 to 20?
Right, I feel like we're going to go through it...
bit by bit, we'll go top 4 first.
I was going to go bottom 3 and work up the table.
Okay, yeah, no.
If that's
Do it
okay.
that way. Yeah, that's fine.
Right.
You're the boss.
First of all, who do you think is going to finish last? So I can get that out of the way.
Hull.
Yeah, at least we agree on that. That's a good start. Hull cannot finish more than last. It's impossible. They've signed no one, and they've let Diarmé go. And just going to say,
don't forget they've also got rid of Steve Bruce.
I think Steve Bruce left, but he was deciding. He was talking about leaving before the playoff final even happened. So I feel like it's inevitable that he disagreed with the owners, and he would end up leaving.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much that Steve Bruce is a top quality manager, but he is your typical sort of Sam Allardyce sort of manager. He's going to keep you in the league.
Yeah.
So yeah, he will be missed. He will be missed, but that's why I think Hull will go down really, because they've not signed anyone. They've sold a key player, and
a very key player.
Have they even replaced their manager yet?
No, they haven't.
This is a week away from the start of the season, exactly. So.
And they've got injuries everywhere. I believe their McGregor's injured, and if reports are correct, their second backup goalkeeper, Jakupovic, is also injured, so they have to go to some youth player probably. And also, from watching Diarmé at the playoff final, he destroys. Can be unplayable at times, so a huge loss. But that's out of the way. We've agreed on that. 19th and 18th. Who are donning your last two relegation spots?
Right, 19th is Middlesbrough.
Mm-hmm.
18th is Sunderland.
Oh, you are going for Sunderland to go down then.
Mm.
Reasons behind them?
Middlesbrough, I think they've made a lot of shit business. I think that they've, like you said in the last episode, they very much QPR'd it. They've signed a lot of names, not so much good players. And, you know, they've also got a lot of older sort of players in the likes of Stuart Downing and, you know, some players like that. I just don't think they've got what it takes to stay in the league. It's not like Bournemouth, where they had an ambitious squad, you know, that feel like they can do it. I don't get that sort of feeling from Middlesbrough. Sunderland, I've gone for because they've lost Sam Allardyce, and I don't care what people think of him. You know, I'm actually very happy he's the England manager, but that's for another story. Sam Allardyce. Sunderland don't believe they've replaced him yet. And I don't believe they've made any signings. Am I right?
Hold on. They've replaced him with David Moyes and they've signed Diliboji.
Okay, so they've replaced him with David Moyes, and they've signed Digi. Digiboji's all right, but he's not really been proven yet. David Moyes, I'm not going to say anything yet, but it's an interesting drop that he's taken. He's going to be managing Blackpool in 2 years.
And before you know it, Braintree.
Yeah.
So you still think Sunderland will go down even with David Moyes?
No, I still think they'll go down even with David Moyes. It's not the same as Sam Allardyce.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Well, Middlesbrough are in my relegated zone. They're in 18th. And can you guess who's in 19th?
Sorry, you said who's in 18th?
Middlesbrough. And can you guess who's in 19th?
Did you go for Sunderland?
No, Watford.
Watford. Yeah,
because I just feel like, although I
mentioned
mentioned they were in another video, they were heavily, or my actual video about Premier League predictions, they were heavily reliant upon two players, Igalo and Deeney. So in the comments mentioned Gomez and Cathcart. I just feel like they needed more attacking players, and all they've done is reduce their attacking players by one by selling Hurtado, and I feel like they're going to really struggle without their Kiko Flores Sanchez, I believe his name was. It is worth noting that, again, I mentioned with Southampton, when they make managerial choices, they make a lot of them, they usually get it right for a certain period of time, but I just feel like Watford are going to really struggle this season, and that's why I put them there. Middlesbrough, same reasons as you, as I mentioned in the last episode as well. They're just QPR'd, and they've really, really QPR'd hard. But, that being said, we agree on 2 out of the 3 of the teams. Now from 17th, we're going to go, I think next up we're going to go 17th to 11th, going from, or numbering or naming your teams from 17th to 11th. Who have you gone for?
Okay, so 17th, West Brom.
Yep.
This is the one that's going to get slated. 16th place, Leicester.
I knew you were going to put Leicester somewhere shit.
15th place, Watford.
Yep.
14th place, Burnley.
Yep.
13th place, Bournemouth.
Oh, yep.
12th place, Swansea.
Yep.
11th, Southampton.
Ooh. So,
Let's start off with the obvious one then. Why is Leicester in 16th, Joe? Well...
Is Kante that much of a miss? He's worth 15 Premier League places?
Potentially, yeah. But it's not so much that. It's more so that if you actually pay attention to West Ham and Tottenham from last season, the only 2 teams to have actually played the way you're supposed to play against Leicester, they've taken points from them. And if people actually wise up for once, please, football managers out there, listen to me plea. It is very easy to mark Jamie Vardy. Iceland did it. Wales did it.
Jamie Vardy did score against Wales.
He did score against Wales, but, you know, sooner or later, if you're a good striker, you're meant to score a bloody goal. I mean, he only scored the other day because Fellaini's a retard. And it was just like, oh, here you go, here's the ball.
Here is strikers.
You can say I'm biased, I'm bitter, or something like that about Leicester. But in all honesty, I don't think they've made the signings a Premier League winning team should be making. And I really don't think they've got it in them to stay up again. Stay up, I meant
Jesus Christ! If that's just staying up last season, I dread to think what a title change would be for Leicester.
I don't think they've got it in them to challenge for the top 4. I could be completely wrong, but I'm just going on what I think is going to happen. It's not me saying I hate Leicester or anything. I just don't think they're as good as everyone says they are.
Fair enough. Any other key teams you want to talk about in their positions?
Well, of course, Burnley and Bournemouth are both in the same sort of positions because I think they're both very similar teams. They're ambitious, they've got quick strikers, decent sort of players. I think that's where they're going to finish. West Brom 17th, they're just going to survive because they've got Tony Pulis. Watford 15th, that's the only one where I think that maybe they'll be pushing further down the table. And then Swansea 12th is a right sort of position. Southampton is the only team out of those, though, that I think could potentially finish a bit higher up, looking at maybe 8th in the table. But it does all depend on the new manager.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar. There's only one team.
By any chance, is that Leicester?
Actually, no. There's one team that's different, and that is, well, for me, I've got, spoiler alert, Southampton I've put higher up, but in 17th I've got Bournemouth, 16th I've got West Brom, 15th I've got Sunderland, 14th, exactly the same as you, I've got Burnley, 13th, which is the only team you didn't put down here that I put down here, Crystal Palace, 12th Swansea, and then Leicester in 11th. For me, Bournemouth 17th, like I mentioned it in the last one, I'll mention it again quickly. Although they've signed players, they've lost 2 real key players. And I've described it as there's a hole that they've patched up, but they haven't permanently, filled in. They're not as good at, the signings they've made, and the players coming back are not as good as Richie. And again, they haven't really made any sort of attempts to replace Tommy Elphick yet. So that I think they'll actually, really struggle this season. They'll stay up, but just by the skin of their teeth. West Brom in 16th. Not been much point even mentioning them. West Brom.
I mean, they're just a team that's going to be down there, aren't they? They're not pushing on or anything. They're not ambitious. They're just content with getting Premier League football.
They were pretty average last season, and I feel like they were slipping in form towards the end, mainly because Chris Brunt, and statistically that is correct in saying Chris Brunt was injured, and they started doing worse without him. But Matt Phillips will save them a few extra points and basically give them the Premier League status for another year. Then we've got Sunderland in 15th. I just feel like they'll do enough, and the Premier League teams, there are worse teams than them. Hull and Watford being 2 of them, and also Middlesbrough going down, there'll be 3 of them. Bournemouth potentially, West Brom potentially. I feel like they've got worse squads than Sunderland, and I think Sunderland have a mess season. Burnley in 14th, exactly the same reasons as you. I feel like Sean Dyche will know what he's doing, and for me, he'll have a good season, but will need to build on it at some point. He cannot stay with the squad he's got forever. Palace in 13th because it's just meh. I feel like they're going to have 2, halves of the season. Pardew will have either a good start or a good end, but it will absolutely fuck the base up on the first part of the season. That's a good saying, isn't it? They're going to fuck shit up. That's a good saying as well. They're going to fuck it at one half of the season, either before or after January. They're going to do shit, and they're going to end up in 13th. Swansea in 12th, same as you, have a mess season. They've let players go, but they've signed players to replace them. They're just a club that is taking a few steps forwards and the same amount of steps backwards. They're not going anywhere, same as West Brom really. And then Leicester in 11th, my talking point as yours, I feel like they're not going to do as well as last season. The Champions League football will take their toll on them. Because last season they were out in every competition extremely early. Third round of the FA Cup, I think it was early on in the League Cup as well. And that is the reason why I've got Leicester to finish quite low down and could push on a bit more, but I feel like again Kante allows you your 4-4-2 to act like a 4-5-2, and it will sorely be missed, but Leicester will not really have any risk of going down.
Yeah, I'm not saying that Leicester. I would say that Leicester's one of the teams that, of course, could have finished anywhere for me between 17th and 11th. They could finish anywhere in the table for all we know, but I did think that I could have put them anywhere in that part, and it would have been all right. In my opinion, that's where they could finish at any point there. I don't think they're going to do that well.
Yeah, I'll probably...
Slate me.
Attack me. But I think I'm interested to see where you... I'm assuming the position's 10th. I'm interested to see where you got Crystal Palace, but you're 10th to 7th there next. Then who have you got?
So 10th place is Crystal Palace.
Oh, there's a shock. I've got that one right.
So, yeah, I did have them there. I'll get into that in a minute. Right, 9th place, Stoke. 8th place, Everton. 7th place.
Wait, hold on. Crystal Palace was in 10th.
10th.
9th.
Stoke.
8th was Everton.
Yep.
And then 7th, I feel like you've got a curveball.
I'm going to change it. It's Liverpool.
Ooh.
It's
You put
Liverpool.
Liverpool there?
Mm.
My goodness, that is a big statement. Or start explaining. Let the people know your absurd reasons.
So, Palace, 10th, because, like you said, I think they'll have a season of 2 halves, but I think they'll have a better start to the season, and then they'll drop off towards the end. But I'm thinking they're going to have a sort of West Brom sort of a few years ago, or West Ham a few years ago, should I say, where we did actually finish about 10th. So, yeah, I think Palace, I think that's a reasonable position to have them in. Stoke in 9th, they'll probably just have another content year where they're sort of challenging, but not really challenging at the same
where
time.
they're like arm's length away from any Champions League, Europa League football.
Where they're a good sort of 6 points away from finishing in 6th, 7th place.
The Stoke season.
That's just become the Stoke season nowadays. Everton in 8th, because I don't really know what they're going to amount to. It's a bit tough without actually knowing what players they still are going to sign. But not only that, with Koeman back there, though, they could be a bit better defensively, which is something that they certainly need after last year. And then 7th, I've gone for Liverpool. Last minute switch for the team that is now in 6th. Because despite them having good business, and despite Klopp being the ambitious man he is, the passionate man he is, I don't quite think they've got it defensively yet. Still, they still need a left back. That's for sure. I reckon they still probably need a right back.
Even though with Nathaniel Klein there?
They need a backup right back.
Oh, okay.
Because Klein, he's good, but if he gets injured, they've got no one. And then centre backs, of course, they've made 2 new signings, but they're of course unproven in the Premier League, and they've got rid of the experienced man that's organised their defence for the past few years, Martin Skirtle.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting, but I'm sure they'll put it out of the bag. Liverpool are the only team really in those sort of top 10 that I think could potentially push up to challenge 4th. But it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a fit Danny Sturridge. That's for sure.
Well, you've taken, a shock turn and moved one of the top 6 out of top 6 and left one of the non-top 6 teams in the top 6. I've gone for exactly the same move. Not the same teams, though. I've got Stoke in 10th. I've got Southampton in 9th. I've got, please don't kill me, West Ham in 8th. And again, something that most people were referring to in the discontent in my comment section of the video, 7th, going to Manchester United. Big statement, I know.
Wow.
Hear me out. Stoke in 10th, same reasons as you. They'll not be too close to anything. They'll just have a pretty average mid-table season. Southampton in 9th, it'll drop off a bit because they have lost a lot of... usually they've lost like 1, maybe 2 players, but they've lost 3 good players, in Wanyama, Mane and Pella, so they will drop off maybe a little bit lower. But that is, of course, unless they don't, if they don't sign anyone. West Ham in 8th. The first thing people will start getting pissed off about, because I think Leicester could go anywhere. They've varied between relegation. I've seen some absurd people put, and league champions again. But West Ham in 8th. I don't know what it is, but I just felt like towards the end of the season, West Ham struggled closing out games. They struggled. They weren't as good when they were at the start of the season. I just feel like that might continue the new stadium. You've lost the fortress of Upton Park. They'll still have a good season. They could still go forward in the league and up in the league, but I feel like West Ham might struggle a little bit more. Not a bad season, but not a really good season. It'll be an average to good season. And then the biggest statement said, Man United in 7th. I just feel like Mourinho has his last 2 clubs. He's considered one of the worst Real Madrid managers. One of the worst. There we go. Real Madrid managers ever by the fans because of the lack of silverware he won. He has come into Chelsea, did a season. First season did not much. Second season survived on Hazard to win the league. Third season got sacked after poor performances because Hazard wasn't performing. This season, Mourinho is known for shoving out youth players and pissing off certain players. This season already, he has shone out Bastian Schweinsteiger and he has pissed off Juan Mata. It's not looking good. And I just feel like there is so much for Mourinho to do. Man United fans want attacking football, and they've gone to a man who is famed for his park the bus approach. I just feel like all those things add up. They could do well. That's not saying they won't do well. They could do well. The signings of Ibrahimovic and Mkhitaryan, of Martial, pretty much Pogba as well, could mean they really push up the table. But I feel like they'll really, really struggle. And the fact they've got Thursday night's games, a lot of travelling to do. For me, I just got this feeling that Man United will sit low in the table.
I can agree with your reasoning for Man United. I don't have any disagreement with it. I mean, the only reason I think Man United will finish higher than sort of 7th is because David De Gea.
Yeah, he's a big reason.
David De Gea is the best goalie in the league, and we can't deny that. He literally wins games for them, and he's in goal.
Yeah.
And of course, we've seen Rooney in centre mid in the Euros. If you forget about the last game against Iceland, he can certainly do a job there.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to wait and see how it unfolds.
I'll go with your 6th and 5th next.
Okay, so 6th, I have got West Ham.
If
I put them any higher, I know it would just be slated.
Biased.
5th, Arsenal.
You're breaking the Arsene Wenger top 4 mold.
I am. I'm breaking the Arsene Wenger top 4 mold.
Explain your reasoning.
So I'm going to start off with Arsenal, because Arsenal have made one signing compared to all their rivals that have made at least 3 each, apart from maybe Tottenham. But, you know, where Arsenal have need to improve, they haven't. They have still got a good goal scorer. They have still got good midfielders that are going to create chances. They've got a good goalkeeper, but they've got a very injured defence, which could lead to them having a poor start to the season, which means they're already off the running for the title. Let's face that to start with. But, you know, I just don't think Arsene Wenger can get them in the top 4 again. If he does it again, he needs to retire. Because... Not because someone else needs to finish in the top 4, of course, but I'm thinking more, you know, if he can't win the league, he cannot win the league again. This is the problem. He can finish 4th every season, but sooner or later it's just not good enough. And you can already see it, the frustration in the Arsenal fans. They've made one signing, and you can see the frustration because they know for a fact it's going to be another year when they're like, oh, 4th again, looks like we got to qualify for the Champions League by playing some Danish team. Right, moving on. West Ham in 6th. How do I explain myself?
Biased.
Yes, biased. But I think that after last season, we had a very good season. I think we've improved our team. But the other key thing that I've noticed is Andy Carroll is scoring a lot of goals. And I'm actually a little bit excited to see him play against Chelsea.
Yeah, I'd go for that.
Andy Carroll's scoring a lot of goals. I think that we've made signings in the right positions, despite us still needing to make 1 or 2 more. And, I mean, the atmosphere in the stadium, absolutely unreal, from what I've heard. So I don't think we're going to lose anything there from Upton Park. But it is, of course, a different stadium, different situation. We can't live in the past anymore. The future is now. So we can't be Liverpool anymore. We can't just every week going, oh, remember 1966 when we won the World Cup?
Every West Ham
fan says that.
No, but I can understand those reasonings. I can understand. As far as my 6th and 5th, I'm preparing for the hate already. You may have guessed there's also one team that have escaped the or have broken into the top 6. It's not Leicester this season for me. It's Everton, who actually I've not put to finish in 6th, which another thing I've been slated for is Manchester City.
Hey!
And 5th is Everton, because I feel like I'll go for Everton first. It's an easier one to explain. They've got a good squad. If they can keep hold of all the players, so Lukaku and Stones, because I think Coman can get into Stones and get him playing ball as a centre back next to Jagielka, and also maybe Funes Mori. Lukaku is an absolute wrecking ball. You've got to keep in at the club, and it's basically Ronald Koeman's got to see it as it's like Graziano Pelle with legs. You know, Graziano Pelle can run at people, take on people, as well as act as the target man that he was. Insane player.
Lukaku.
Yeah, probably Lukaku. That's what I meant. But and I feel like if they can keep Barkley firing, they've got Lennon, Deulofeu, they've got Miralas, players that can all play well. They've signed Idrissa Gueye, who I feel like is a good signing, although it's just going with feeling rather than general stats to back up because he'd play for Aston Villa, unfortunately. But yeah, I feel like I have a really good season. Now, Manchester City in 6th. I really am worried for Manchester City because everyone is going on about Guardiola, the best manager in the world. I feel like I will accept it if he wins the league with Manchester City this season. Because as far as it goes, he's won, he's won a few leagues with Bayern Munich, which, let's face it, I could run a few leagues with Bayern Munich. It's not that hard in that league. All you've got to do is beat Dortmund twice a year, and then you've won the league. That is it. And as far as the Spanish league goes, all you've got to do is do okay against either Atletico Madrid in recent years or Real Madrid. And the times he was winning it, Atletico Madrid were getting nowhere near the league. So he's not been in a league where you can go to a club that's battling relegation and win, just by one goal. He's been at clubs where you can either, go there and smash them or just win comfortably. Generally, that happens 10 times out of 10. Now, if you come to like Hull, maybe you could smash them, but you also know they are going to fight. Burnley are going to fight. Every club will fight. And I feel like Guardiola has not experienced that yet. He's not been in a league where there's more than one challenger, barring Real Madrid, in which he pretty much destroyed it. And his rival was Jose Mourinho, so that's why I put him ahead of Jose Mourinho this time, in 6th compared to 7th. I just feel like there's so much I need to improve on. The wingers, I just feel like they've improved on a lot, but it's the defence that worries me. They've got a Company who is constantly, is he fit, is he not fit? Joe Hart, who many people have said in pre-season, looks a bit lost, looks a bit worrying. Then you've got the fact your fullbacks are generally, not as good as they could be. And you've got Otamendi, who's spent so much time doing his hair. Demichelis, who had no legs, but fortunately he's left. And they're starting playing Kolarov in centre-back, who's very attacking. And I just can't see Man City doing well this season. I really can't.
No, yeah, I can agree with your reasons there.
Many people have said I'm bonkers, so I'll accept that.
Yeah, I can agree. I mean, you've put them both Manchester clubs, of course, out of the top 4. So that's quite interesting. What I'm going to be killed for is who I've put to win the league.
Go for your. I'll do it one team at a time. Then who've you got 4th?
4th place, Manchester United.
Okay, it was about time United came out.
Yeah, Man United in 4th. Despite Mourinho playing a defensive game, the defensive game can get you a top 4 finish. That's just the fact. And Ibrahimovic, of course, could be the man that could get them in the top 4 or potentially win them the league. Any team in the top 4, I think, can win the league this season. But of course, I think that, like you said, with the Thursday night games, I don't think it's going to be quite the same. I know that Spurs did it last year. Yeah. Of course, with the Thursday night games, they challenged for the title, but of course they did go off the boil at the end of the season, probably due to tiredness and Dele Alli elbowing people.
Moussa Dembele trying to claw people's eyes out.
Yep. But, Man United in 4th, I've not really got a lot to say about it. I think that it's something that everyone can sort of look at and say, yeah, that could happen. I mean, but of course, Man U fans are going, well, we're going to win the league. Rooney's going to play it right back.
Rooney at right back as Latan as sweeper.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I don't think that Man U win the league is because I don't think their defence is good enough.
Yeah, I think even with Bailey signing, they're not good
Even
enough.
with Bailey signing, but Smalling's injured. Still don't actually have a right back. Can I add Man United? You've got Valencia.
And Darmian.
He's been crap though. Let's face it.
Well, I'd say Man United fans have turned into Liverpool fans. And talking about Liverpool fans, in my 4th spot I've got Liverpool, because I do feel like they've shored up on the defence. Admittedly, they do need another left back, maybe another right back, but they've shored up on the defence, so they've lost Skirtle. But new keeper, maybe Matip and Karius can do the job. Sacco also could do well. And I'm also looking at the fact that they've added to their attacking lineup. Lallana was very good in the Euros. Milner is a good solid player to have. And you've also got Sadio Mane signing. You've got Wijnaldum signing. You've got Firmino, Coutinho. If you can keep Sturridge fit, the attacking options there. And the fact that you could have, Sturridge, Firmino, Coutinho, Wijnaldum and Mane all on the pitch at the same time, all swapping around of each other. Maybe not Wijnaldum, but all 4 attacking players swapping around, causing havoc. And the fact that they can have a high press game, do it well. I think they can really, really push, and maybe even higher. Looking at it now, I'm really thinking I should have put Liverpool higher, maybe in second, but yeah, Liverpool for me are one to watch.
Let's not please the Liverpool fans too much.
We're going to win the treble. Yeah, we're going to win the treble, mate.
No, we're going to win the World Cup. Not for another year, mate.
Yeah, go on. Your third position.
Yeah, third position. I've actually forgotten to put Chelsea.
Ooh.
Chelsea in third. Why Chelsea in third? Because, like I said, Conte plays a defensive game. And I just think they're going to be defensively better than most teams in the league. Courtois should have a better year this year. They have signed a goal scorer, they have signed Kante. All things are looking up for Chelsea compared to last season, to say the least. Hazard had an okay Euros, so who knows. But Chelsea in third, that's what I've gone for.
Fair enough. And talking about London rivals, or London teams, I suppose I could say, my third spot, which I'm thinking now... I'm not going to say, but I'm thinking now you might have put them to win the league, is Tottenham. And my reason behind Tottenham being third, as same as they were last season, is because their squad was good. They haven't needed to sign many players. They've got Champions League football, so that will help. The Thursday nights won't kill them off, and especially the fact that they've got replacements. Like Harry Kane was playing every single minute of every single match. Now there's no chance of him getting burnt out because they've got another player to have there. Dyer and Dembele, they're both maybe defensive players. Wanyama's come in, another player to sort of sweep around. If you can get Son firing, maybe another winger, I feel like Spurs can have a really good season. They were good last season, they'll be good this season. And one thing they have above most of the top six, or considered top six teams, is that they've got a manager that was there last season, that's been able to build on them through pre-season and get a better team they did last season. And I feel like for squad unity and everything, that'll work in their favour. But that's why I've got Tottenham in third.
Okay. Am I doing second or am I doing first?
As well doing both, because if you say if you have team 1 and team 2 left, you say team 1's going to finish second, everyone knows who you've got first.
Yeah.
But
so I'm going to go with first. So who's going to win the league for me? Tottenham or Manchester City? Drum roll, please. It's Tottenham.
I knew you were going to go Tottenham when I saw your top 3.
Tottenham are going to win the league. And that, of course, leaves Manchester City in second. Now, Manchester City, I think they will finish second. Guardiola has apparently been a very good manager over the years. I'm yet to see it myself. But Manchester City do have something that no one else has, and that is Sergio Aguero. If he can stay fit, they've got a very good chance of winning the league. If they can get Company actually performing again, that'll be nice. And of course, Kevin De Bruyne, who injured for most of last season, had an absolute stormer when he was playing. So Manchester City, they're definitely going to be up there. You can't deny it. But they do have some issues that they need to iron out. But can Guardiola finally prove he's a good manager? We'll have to wait and see.
I can echo those thoughts. As far as first.
Oh yeah, first. Spurs, of course. I just think that they've got a very young side, a very good side. They've signed the right players. And of course, playing Wednesdays over Thursdays, like you said, very, very good. Hugo Lloris, he's a very good goalkeeper. Alderweireld, a magnificent centre-back. Danny Rose, Walker, both had really good Euros, apart from the last game. Eric Dyer had a brilliant Euros, should not have been taken off in the last game. Dele Alli, fantastic last season. Hopefully he can rekindle that form again. Harry Kane, fantastic last season. They've got. If Leicester weren't there, Spurs would have won the league last year. And yes, they finished third, but without the pressure that they were put under from Leicester, they definitely would have finished top of the league.
I could see that. I can see that as well.
But that is why I've gone for Tottenham.
Surprising top. I mean, the top 2 we've got are completely different. Rather weirdly, do you know the last 2 teams I have?
You've got Arsenal.
Yeah.
And Chelsea left.
Yeah, two different teams to your top 2.
Chelsea could have been in my top 2 very easily.
Yeah, I've got Chelsea to finish first and Arsenal to finish second. The reason I'm going with Arsenal finishing second, which is against what a lot of people are saying, is I don't know what it is. But Arsene Wenger, no matter what happens in the transfer window, will get fourth and will at least get top four. Last season he got top two. Admittedly, lots of teams were shit last season. But if you look at seasons where Arsenal, for example, Arsenal just signed Cech, whereas other teams were signing loads of different players, only signing a goalkeeper, and then El Neni halfway through the season, who barely played as effectively as he maybe could have done. That's got Arsenal second. I feel like they've signed another player, maybe not the right positions they need. They've still got time to sign other players, and well, look at it as the Arsenal's front four fixtures. If they've got a few centre backs out, is not that bad. I feel like the first game they've got is let me just check. First game they've got is Liverpool, and that'll be a 0-0. I feel like both teams will be nervous, and they've got Leicester away without Kante. They could grab a away win from there, and then they've got Watford away, Southampton at home, Hull away, Chelsea at home, Burnley away, Swansea at home, Middlesbrough at home, Sunderland away. Then you go into Spurs and Man United, and I just feel like the start of the season is not as tough as it could have been. And whilst they nurse their best players back to full fitness, they'll be playing against nice, easy teams. I say that in quotation marks. And that's why I think Arsenal finish second, could even sneak the title. Who knows? And Chelsea top, just because I can't look past them this season. As much as I can't stand Chelsea as a club, their fans are all, most of them horrific. They are a good, solid team. They've signed Kante. They look good. They've signed a goal scorer. Their wingers look good. With Kante signing, allowed Fabregas to get further forward. I just can't look past Chelsea. I can't look past them.
Well, I can agree with that. Chelsea could have easily won the league for me, but I did go Tottenham in the end. I think I don't know. I've just got that feeling.
So as far as getting teams spot on, we've got Hull directly correct, we've got Burnley correct, and we've got Swansea correct. As far as guessing each other's, apart from that, everything else is different. The top four is quite different. The only team to make it in there that we've both agreed on, or two teams, is Tottenham and Chelsea, who, ironically, you put Tottenham in first, and I put Chelsea in first, and I put Tottenham in third, and you put Chelsea in third, so super around. But Premier League predictions done. Let me know your Premier League predictions in the comment section down below, and also, how nuts are we? How bonkersly stupid are we?
Go on, abuse us for saying Leicester are going to finish below.
Abuse us.
Just do it. And then we'll laugh at the end of the season when Leicester are down there.
And get relegated. Jamie Vardy's playing Championship
I am
football.
actually putting money on them getting relegated.
Good odds. Very good odds. But we've talked about that. Game week 1 fixtures. We move on to that now. Game week 1 fixtures. We start off with Hull against Leicester in the early kickoff, which I'll miss because I'm working. Then the 3 o'clocks, you've got Burnley versus Swansea, Palace versus West Brom, Everton versus Spurs, Middlesbrough versus Stoke, Saints versus Watford, and City versus Sunderland in the late kickoff. Then Sunday, you've got Bournemouth versus Man United, then Arsenal versus Liverpool, and Monday Night Football, the return of Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville combined after his 6-month fling, as Carragher put it on Twitter, is Chelsea versus West Ham. Any of those games stand out to you?
Yeah, well, I mean, the obvious ones: Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, West Ham.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's just a regular fixture day, really, isn't it? Everton, Spurs, maybe.
Yeah, I'll pull that one out.
I'd only say Hull, Leicester, because it'll be an interesting one, of course. Newly promoted versus the champions.
If they have any players to put out, that is Hull.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really the only ones that sort of stick out to me.
I don't know, that's a decent way of putting it. I'd say Hull versus Leicester is one of the ones I will point out, or I will have by the time it's uploaded, but as one of the games to watch, because you've got a Leicester side without their defensive midfielder, and they've got, on Hull they've got Abel Hernandez, who give him a chance and he'll take it. And then on the other side, you've got a Hull who are falling apart, and you've got Vardy and Mahrez, if he's still there, and Vardy, who his pace can really rip into a rather slow Hull defence, and that's definitely one to watch. Man City versus Sunderland, I'm not going to go on to it yet, but FPL, Aguero, captain,
Yeah.
triple captain, score about 8 goals. Although I think Sunderland will stay up, they're going to get absolutely fucking wrecking balled in that one. As much as I don't think Guardiola will do well either, they're going to get wrecking balled. Arsenal vs Liverpool, it'll be a nervy 0-0, I think, because I think it happened a few seasons ago. They played against each other right at the start, and it was 0-0. Nothing really happened.
I don't actually know if Arsenal have a very good record on the first day of the season,
No.
especially the past 2-3 years. Because last year, of course, lost to West Ham. Year before that, I believe they lost to Aston Villa.
I think it was maybe 1 year before. Well, I think it was last season was West Ham. Then the season before, I'm pretty sure it was Liverpool because I remember it being a boring 0-0. And then the season before that, it might have been Aston Villa.
Yeah.
I think, but no, not very good actually. Now you think about it.
And then, of course, last one, West Ham Chelsea.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting game because Andy Carroll, can he torment them? And also the fact that if they've got three at the back, can West Ham get the ball out wide and trouble them there? And then also, once they get the ball in, the ball is like a magnet to Andy Carroll's head.
Yeah, that's what that's saying. Well, I guess I'll focus on the same games. Hull Leicester, interesting one. Hull returning to the Premier League, Leicester returning champions. Do I think Leicester are going to romp them? No. I think they'll win 1-0. Because that is the Leicester way. I think they'll scrape a 1-0. Everton Spurs, that'll be a very good game. Lukaku versus Spurs. I think it's going to be a draw though. Probably 1-1, 2-2, something like that. Lukaku getting one. Kane probably getting one. Or Kane's going to go on a massive drought again. That'll be funny. Man City Sunderland, that's going to be a high scoring game. I'd say about 3-0 to Manchester City. And Arsenal Liverpool, interesting one. I reckon it'll be 2-1 to Liverpool.
Ooh.
I reckon they'll scrape a victory out of that. Sturridge getting a goal, Coutinho getting a goal. And Chelsea West Ham.
Now, statistically thinking, if you're going by the majority, you should say Chelsea win. But if you go anything other than that, you're a biased West Ham fan. I'm not having it.
Which is exactly why I'm going for a draw. Because
biased West Ham fan.
No, I'm going for a draw. Because I do think we'll get a point at least. We were very good against the big boys last year. I'd like us to be good again this year. We whip in, if we start getting those balls in, if we got Byram and Masaku down each wings on the fullback, they should be whipping in some nice balls. I would imagine we'll be having Faguli and Payet on each wing, both really good players to whip in a ball to Andy Carroll. And fingers crossed, Antonio could potentially play up front. It's not going to happen, but I'd love to see him up front. Because he's very good in the air as well.
Well, how many times have you seen a club sign a player for which the club they signed him from, he was playing at striker, to then in the same season play him at right back? How many times do you see it?
It's the West Ham way. Greg Halford. That's how many times I've seen it.
Greg Halford. Woo!
Yeah, I would like a point. Do I think it will be a point? I reckon Chelsea might scrape the win, but I'm going for 2-2.
I can see that. I think Hull versus Leicester, I'm going to completely disagree with you. I think that's going to be an absolute goal fest. Because I feel like Hull...
5-0 to Hull. 5-0 to Hull.
For both sides. I mean, Leicester opened their last season with a 4-2 win against Sunderland. Could be echoing that 4-2. I think Abel Hernandez will do enough to get maybe 1 or 2 goals. But Leicester, again, although they don't have Kante, he doesn't do much for the attack of their team, and their attack is still in full flow, even with Musa. So if Jamie Vardy gets a bit tired, shove him on late in the game. Extra pace. So I feel like Leicester really could score high in a lot of games this season, and I think they'll score high in that one. I'm not sure about Everton versus Spurs. It depends what sort of Everton turn up, because Lukaku does have an off switch and it can be pressed from time to time. And
more often than not, really, at the moment.
And Kane was shocking in the Euros. I mean, let's just hope he isn't on corners. The whole game hinges on whether Kane's on corners. If he's on corners, Everton win. If he's not on corners, Spurs win. Simple enough. City versus Sunderland, 17-0. And from
to
there,
Sunderland.
To Sunderland. Jermaine Defoe's on fire. Your defence is petrified. And then Guardiola gets sacked and they'll put Pellegrini in interim charge for the rest of the season. Arsenal versus Liverpool, I just still think it's going to be a nervy 0-0. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure about Chelsea versus West Ham. I'm going to go for a safe 1-1 because I feel like Chelsea look really good this season, but so do West Ham. In fairness to them, so do West Ham.
Yeah, I mean, against Juventus, we seemed to play very well, and of course they're a big side. And then against the crap teams, no offence to the teams we've played, we've been shocking. So
it's worth noting they played very well against a Juventus team that plays very similar football to Conte.
Yes.
So maybe although you did lose that game, didn't you?
We lost 3-2 to a late goal. We were 2-0 down as well.
Yeah, Andy Carroll's heroics.
But of course, Pyatt didn't play until late on, so
Yeah.
of course, if you got Pyatt playing for 90 minutes, who knows, it could all change. Could lose 6-0.
Yeah, and I think we've covered the fixtures pretty well. Lastly, we've got the FPL ones to watch now. I feel like you've got a list.
I do have a list.
Ooh, I like lists.
Let's get my list
So, have you got any particular positions you want to cover? Have you done it in positions or just general players?
Just general players, but there's no defenders, so...
Well, I'll start with
them.
my few defenders. I think ones to watch: Everton's Leighton Baines and Seamus Coleman are one to watch. They had a shocking season last season, hence the reason they are 5.5 million. And if Coleman can show up the defence like he did with Southampton's defence, and maybe even play 5 at the back, push Coleman and Baines out wide to attack even more, goodness knows what points tally could be on. So definitely worth having them. Chris Brunt at 5 million. Played, when he played for West Brom, he was much better than when they didn't play, and I don't think they won a game when he didn't play, and he got injured quite I think he was injured for like 10 to 12 games. So if they can shut their defence a bit more, play more like a Pulis side, could have a good total. And another one, I'll remove Gabriel from my list, which he was on there before, but now he's not. Another one is Clichy. And although Collar is rated at 6 million in pre-season, Collar's been playing at centre back, and Pep Guardiola does like his fullbacks. If he does keep a load of clean sheets, Clichy will attack a load, so I feel like Clichy could be another good player to have as well. But I'll let you move on to the midfielders you have.
Midfielders, right, so I've got Sofiane Feghouli, 5.5 million is an absolute bargain. He's a good winger, proven himself at Valencia over the past few years. Not a very good year last year, but I hope he can replicate the form that he's had at West Ham. Nathan Redmond, 6 million, great winger. Spoke about him in the last episode for Southampton. He'll be bombing him up and down that wing, so chipping in with a few assists and goals. Don't you doubt that. Arnautovic is another one, 7.5 million. He's probably one of Stoke's key players. He'll be chipping in with goals and assists, and at 6'4", he is a presence to say the least. And lastly, I have Jordan Ibe, 5.5 million, another good winger, could be the difference in that Bournemouth side this season. But we'll have to wait and see, because it's a bit of an interesting one. But Ibe, 5.5 million, you chuck him in there if you've got enough, but put Feghouli in first.
I'll echo those thoughts. Fegouli's definitely one to have. One I have picked up on is, if I'm wrong about Watford and they've signed a replacement for him, the only one they've signed that could do it is Mr. Success, however you pronounce that. £6 million. His record last season was 30 games, 6 goals, 3 assists. He plays as a winger or up front, according to transfermarkt.com. Really, maybe, I'd say a risk worth taking, because he could be a really, really good buy, and it won't be one that many people have, because not many people have heard of him. Fabregas is one worth noting. 7.5 million could be a real good buy, and I just echo the thoughts of everyone else. You've said that generally just every name you've mentioned is one I can agree with.
Oh. Yay!
We agree on something. But
I guess we move into the forwards then.
Yep, let's go strikers.
Because I already know you're going to agree with 3 out of 4.
Say their names, and I'll say what ones I agree with.
Andre Gray, 6.5 million. He's going to be banging in the goals this year for Burnley. He's their main target. 4 goals. He'll get goals and chip in with 1 or 2 assists, perhaps. Pacey forward, prolific goal scorer. Callum Wilson of Bournemouth, a pacey, prolific goal scorer, very similar to Andre Gray. And if Bournemouth are getting goals, it's going to be through him or Benicophobe. More likely him, though, as he is fit. Next one is the one I don't know if Kurt will agree with, but Jordan Rhodes for Middlesbrough, a natural goal scorer, rated at only 6 million, so a bit cheaper than the other 2. Could be the only man getting goals for Bournemouth, Middlesbrough, because I'm not too sure what part Negredo is going to play for them this season. And finally, I've got Andy Carroll at 6 million. He's done very well in pre-season for West Ham, had a very good end to last season. If he can stay fit, he's unplayable on some days.
And Andy Carroll is 6.5 million. I just want my ad.
For 6 million.
6.5. I've got him in my team.
God fucking damn
Get
it.
your fucking facts right.
God damn it.
I agree with the 3 ones you said you'd agree with, and I would have picked it out anyway. But I'm not sure what it is. I think Rhodes can do well, but I just think he is constantly, there's been talk about a Premier League move. He's never got it, although there's been, this Premier League club's interested. None of them have been, thinking he's worthy enough to put a bid in of like 12 million or so, or 40 million, however much he was signed for. And that, for me, says a lot of things, because though South Middlesbrough is now in the Premier League, if no Premier League club was willing to go in for him, I feel like, unless they've all missed something, it says something about his overall quality. And I echo the 3 you've said. Mr. Gray is going to score loads of goals. Callum Wilson, although he's started the season well, I'd like to see him hopefully play a bit more. Hopefully he won't get an injury, but you can't really, gauge his appearances, because a lot of his appearances last season were coming back from injury, or the one where he got injured. So it's it looks worse than his record actually was. And also, Andy Carroll is basically like having a tank up front that can head the ball in an accurate way. Other ones I want to pull out is Sturridge, £10 million. He's expensive, but one that not many people will go for. And if he can keep fit, he could score a lot of goals. Talking about like the Sturridge and Suarez partnership back when Liverpool were going to win the league and everyone was happy, and then Liverpool fans didn't win the league and then they weren't happy. But then, fortunately enough, three months later, the season started again and they were going to win the league again. Another one I want to end on is Mr. Kelechi Iheanacho.
Yeah.
You surprised about that at all?
No, I'm not. He's been playing in pre-season, isn't he?
Playing in pre-season. I think another thing is that I think he had 26 appearances last season in the league, scored 8 goals, grabbed 1 assist. He started 2 games and grabbed 8 goals. It's worth noting, if he's going to come off the bench, for £7 million, if Aguero gets injured, he's going to start. And I feel like even if he comes off the bench, he will be deadly, and especially under the Guardiola way, which will be creating lots of opportunities, lots of free-flowing movement. I think Iheanacho really could, set the ground on fire, even off the bench. And I feel like £7 million, although, you've got safer options at 6.5, like Gray, Carroll, Wilson, Jordan Rose, even at 6 million. For me, if you're willing to take a risk and go really fucking balls deep in the risk hand, then Iheanacho's definitely one to have.
Yeah, no, Iheanacho is not a bad idea. He's not really one I thought of because of course, Aguero and everything. I'm not sure if they're going to play one up top or not, and he might get pushed out to the wings.
Yeah, I can see that. But the only thing that stopped me from thinking he's going to get pushed out the wings is because they've already got about 7 or 8 wingers. So
yeah, true.
There is that. But I think we've pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, apart from you need to check your phone.
Uh-oh. Check my phone. Oh, I need to check my Twitter now. I'll do it on my PC, it's easier. Just bear with us. Just chilling with the laundry staff. Pogback. Pogba. Well, Pogba's joined. And he's posed with laundry staff. I mean,
it looks like Pogba's joined in a Man U kit. Oh well, training kit by the looks of it. With the Man U staff, it's pretty much done deal. If not, he's really teasing the fans, isn't he?
I'm probably going to get stick and called various names for that, but have you seen the picture? I'm assuming.
Well, yeah, why would I tag you in it if I haven't seen it?
That's a good point. That's a stupid question. Does it? I'll type it in that. I think it looks like that.
Looks like what?
Skype chat. Do you know what I mean? You've got. I will leave it there. Sorry for the awkwardness at the end. I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to say it because I know I'm going to get myself in trouble. But thank you all for watching. Pogba's basically signed.
Oh God.
Hopefully you have all enjoyed it, and we will be around next week. Hopefully. I mean.
It depends on if West Ham win or not.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
If they don't, then it'll be me and someone else. If they do, then it'll be me and Joe. Hopefully a non-Darth Vader Joe. Although you weren't Darth Vader this time, so...
No, my voice has held out quite well.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to talk like this properly at work.
But thank you all for watching anyway. Hopefully you've all enjoyed it. and there'll only be one podcast a week because we weren't. Oh, I wasn't meant to do it, but we waffled and went over time. But thank you all for watching. And any last words, Joe?
See ya.
See ya.